I'm going to talk about my gang stalking, and this video is mostly for those that are non-targets or those that are new to these sort of topics. And there is a lot of sort of new terminology being used nowadays in a very negative way, very unpleasant. Gang stalking is one of them. Electronic harassment. People call themselves targeted individuals, and there's also voice to skull. And what is it? What is the big deal? What is the whole story behind this sort of thing? It's for different reasons, but mostly it's a criminal doing something to a victim, and same reasons, either to take money from a person, or to try and kill the person, or to try and benefit somehow in a very illegal way. And all of these things are sort of like a very systematic, tailored program. It's a very smart criminal activity, and but the attacks are mostly similar. It's tailored for each target. But what do these terms actually mean briefly? Gang stalking, you get a bunch of people, a gang, that sort of sets out to destroy one person's life using a lot of mostly psychological tricks, just like, in a way that you'd be sort of always being in the face of the target. They follow the target around different parts of the country. The other sort of thing is that rumors are being spread about the target in a way that's going to make, that's pretty much going to make the person's life in society very, very difficult. These rumors can get as wild as saying somebody's a pedophile, or that you're a rapist, or you're a drug addict, or in a way that's just going to sort of make you lose your job or make you lose your position in society. It actually does work. So the aim of gang stalking is mostly to just make sure that you can't get a job, make sure that you've got no friends, make sure that your family, things are not going well there. Electronic harassment, basically, this is where things get a little bit difficult. The whole idea of having a microchip in somebody, and that somebody is sitting at a distance, almost dictating what happens in your life because of this microchip. So as a victim, the biggest complaint would be that you're getting hit with energy-based weapons such as lasers and sort of microwave radiation, and obviously that leads to death. So targeted individual is any person who, for a very long time, not just one day or a week or a month, who's going through the gang stalking and electronic harassment. Then there's also voice to skull, where most of them claim that they hear voices, and obviously this is very similar to schizophrenia or some kind of mental illness, but it's actually technology based, where somebody's sitting somewhere using this sort of microchip to sort of inflict these voices in your head. So what is the problem? What is the big deal? The big deal is that it's criminal activity. Somebody has got a mission to either destroy, to kill, or to do something unpleasant on the target, and it's pretty much lifelong. It doesn't go away. It doesn't get better with time. It doesn't the victim is pretty much helpless. And another thing is that it's a violation of human rights. I mean, victims complain about privacy being taken away. I mean, if you've got a microchip inside of you and somebody can track your location everywhere you go, pretty much that means that you're not safe, because the criminal knows where you are at all times. And ultimately death, and a very painful death by terminal illnesses such as cancer, and a lot of the just the body being hit in many different ways. And the sad part, or the big part here, is that authorities are not going to do anything about it. Police, lawyers, the law is not on your side. If you call yourself a targeted individual and you say that somebody's attacking me with with these kind of weapons, no law is going to help you. No police. You're not going to be able to get a court case. You're pretty much going to die, and you're not going to get justice for your death. And this is despite more and more victims coming out on a regular basis. The problem doesn't, there seems to be no involvement from government wanting to put this, to put this sort of thing and try and come up with a solution. Okay, and I mean, with electronic harassment, it is classified technology that's been used. Most victims claim that it's military based. By the fact that if you're being shot with a laser, only only the military can develop that sort of thing. If you're being hit with energy-based weapons, only government or military or some kind of somebody with a high budget would have developed that sort of system. And some victims claim that the government is testing technology on them, which I don't know whether that's true or not. But if it's a case of testing technology, surely that's got to have to be done on humans. Surely you're going to have to use somebody as a guinea pig. And mainstream media doesn't actually talk about this. I mean, mainstream media isn't going to disclose, word for word, or at least that information. Even if they have that sort of information, the government can always put a put a veto on them and say, you can't talk about this sort of thing. Mostly for the fight against terrorism. You don't want, the next potential target or the next potential attack, the guy having sort of heads up as to, what's being used to track him, or how intelligence is gathered on him. And a popular wiki, I'm not going to mention it by name, actually sidesteps the issue. It doesn't give a full description of gang-stalking and electronic harassment. It's simply going to say that you're crazy, you're nuts. So there is some information available. I mean, if you're new to this sort of thing, or you're not a target, or you're not a victim, it's easy to put this sort of to come to that conclusion whether this sort of thing exists or not. There's information available that can sort of guide you into that sort of path. I mean, for starters, the budget that the military is spending on military, I mean, surely there's got to be some of that finances that goes into developing new weapons, and then budget in terms of gathering intelligence, in terms of spying might be a bit of a strong word, but gathering intelligence to stop terrorism or to track somebody who's a potential criminal down. Surely it should be getting a little bit more sophisticated than just having somebody follow somebody. There should be some kind of chip involved, or some kind of tapping into a phone or tapping into the guy's machine. Something along those kind of lines has got to be happening. And then directed energy weapons. I mean, towards the end of this decade, there's going to be a lot more options in terms of the types of weapons that the police can use. It won't just be rubber bullets anymore. It could also be like sonar, where they're using sound-based weapons, maybe to sort of for crowd control. And then RFID implants. This is all public information. It's not a secret. It's not a conspiracy theory. I mean, you can use an RFID. You can put it in your pet. If it gets lost, you can track it away from a distance. So the point being that if anybody claims to be a targeted individual, it's simply just a combination of some of these points on the slide. That you've got some kind of chip, and there is some kind of sophisticated, advanced technology sort of being used to hit the guy from a distance. Again, the problem is that mainstream media is not going to touch this topic, and some of the information could be really misleading. It's completely sort of very, very dismissive of what any guy claiming to be going through electronic harassment is saying, and it can be proved. I mean, if you want to prove that I've got an unhealthy dosage of radiation, you can just simply buy some kind of multimeter, and then you can measure the amount of electromagnetic frequency, or extra low frequencies that are being sort of radiated. And the other thing is that even if you're not a victim, even if you're not being stalked, even if you don't have people following you around, just every one of us has got to now start worrying about EMF shielding, where I think in the home, with all the electronic gadgets and with all the radio-based antennas and all the cell phone towers, there's a lot more radiation happening. So EMF shielding, if you go online and search EMF shielding, there's a whole lot of different ways and different reasons why you might want to consider EMF shielding. And also now with nano cameras from cell phones and laptops, everybody's beginning to get paranoid about being sort of spied on and like surveillance, somebody gaining control of your cell phone from a distance and starting to record you doing stuff and you're actually not aware. And stalking as a whole is going, it's increasing. Cyber stalking, all kinds of stalking are increasing. So electronic harassment, gang stalking actually does exist, even if mainstream media doesn't want to acknowledge it. And thing is, criminals are taking advantage, and most targeted individuals find themselves in a position where basically you're getting killed. Basically, you have somebody violating all your human rights. Basically, you've got somebody hacking into your machine, or making money off you, some one way or the other. But the law, the police, authorities are actually not doing anything about it, and the number of cases is increasing. It's getting more and more difficult to just label a whole bunch of people as crazy. All the stories are the same, all the symptoms are really similar, and it's always a good idea to keep an open mind when researching online. Just keeping in mind that the only information right now, as of this recording, that's going to be available, it's mostly going to be from these so-called targeted individuals.